Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is July 19th, 2024, and Sergi Roberto has decided to part ways with Barcelona. Also, the club are considering taking out a loan in order to sign Nico Williams. And finally, Jorge Mendes is pushing Barcelona to renegotiate the contract of Lamine Yamal. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News live podcast where not only do I get to share Barcelona news with you, but I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section. For those of you, by reading your comments out loud, answering your questions, and getting the discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when the live stream ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through all the discussions. Now, having said all of that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the goal kits, skip bag, fanatics. You have plenty of options. All those options are in the description. If you are looking to place any sports bets, not just on Barcelona matches, but on any sporting events around the world, make sure you head to Bet Us. That link is also in the description. By clicking on any of the links, you'll be supporting the channel, and you would also begin access to some pretty cool discounts and offers. Anyway, having said all that, let's begin with the news. By the way, I have my new jersey on today. It's an Inter Miami jersey. I don't really care about Inter Miami or the MLS, but this is like a special edition. When I saw it, I was like, I gotta have it because the colors are really cool. They are the same colors as the Miami Dolphins, and they made a version for Inter Miami, which is where Messi plays. It is the Messi jersey. I don't know if you guys could see number 10. Anyways, enough with my jersey. Let's begin with the news because we are, ladies and gentlemen, in our second week of the preseason. This time is flying already. Second week. Well, the second week is almost over. Of course, Hansi Flick scheduling double sessions every day because he wants the team to be tip-top shape. And these sessions have been with more intensity and with a bigger workout load than last week. That's how the trainings are going to go. Every week, the intensity is going to be increased and the workload is going to be increased as well because, again, Flick believes that the conditioning of the team was very lacking last season, so he is looking to fix all of that through his system, I guess, which he's very known for because all his teams play with a lot of intensity. Now, we know that more players will be getting reincorporated into the team. As I reported yesterday, Lewandowski and Christensen are set to get reincorporated next week, July 22nd. And that weekend, the weekend of July 27th, we'll also have Kunde, Gundogan, Ter Stegen, and also Rafinha, who will also be getting reincorporated into the team right before the team flies out to the U.S. for the preseason tour, where Barcelona will be playing against Manchester City, Real Madrid, and AC Milan in that order. Now, the reason I bring up the preseason or the preseason tour is because we now have an official day for the presentation of our new coach, Hansi Flick, and that day is July 26th. So mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, because Hansi Flick will be officially presented as Barcelona's coach. We're going to hear him talk to the media for the first time since he signed that contract with our club. As we know, Hansi Flick wanted his presentation to be delayed. He didn't want to have a presentation as soon as he got to the club for several reasons. First of all, he wanted to get to know the club first, get to know the structure, the people in it, etc. He also wanted to study more about the club, study more about the team, be more informed. And finally, he also wanted to practice his Spanish more because he wanted his first press conference to be, a well-informed press conference where he can answer the questions, not just be like, oh, I just arrived here, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that question is. No, he wanted to be prepared. He wanted to be able to answer questions about the club, about the team, about the players, etc. And he preferred to do it in Spanish. We'll see if it's going to be in Spanish or not, but we do know that Flick has been taking Spanish classes for several months now, ever since Barcelona even considered signing him back in March when Barcelona were, when Xavi had just resigned and Barcelona were looking for a coach, and then Barcelona decided that Xavi's going to stay, and then no, he's going to get fired. Anyways, Flick has been studying Spanish. We'll see if the press conference is going to be in Spanish or not, but just know that July 26th will be the official presentation of Hansi Flick, 2 days before the team flies out to the U.S., because as you know, Barcelona will be flying to the U.S. on July 28th. I'm very, very excited. I can't wait for this presentation, not because the presentation itself, because we already know that Hansi Flick is the coach. It's not a secret, but because I cannot wait to see what Hansi Flick will say in that press conference, and how what kind of questions he'll be asked, how he's going to answer them, etc. And don't worry, I will be covering that press conference, and I'll bring you all the details like I always do. By the way, speaking of Hansi Flick and the trainings, now the trainings have been open to the press for the first time. There's a reporter which I follow a lot. His name is Adrian Sanchez. He's based in Barcelona. He attended the training session, observed it in person, and he noted his observations in a report that he made. And he said that Hansi Flick's trainings, as opposed to previous coaches like Xavi, like Koeman, all the other guys that we had before, are very, very serious trainings. He says that once the trainings begin, it's fully serious. There's no games. We know with Xavi, it was always like all these games that they would play, and they'll be joking around and chasing each other, etc. Hansi Flick's training is completely the opposite. As soon as he, announces that the training has begun, everybody gets to work. Everybody's very serious. No joking around, no playing around. Everybody is working. They say also that he has noticed a lot of resistance type trainings, with like those elastic bands, that kind of exercises that stimulate your muscles. That he's noticed that a lot. And he's also noticed that during trainings, Hansi Flick is not really a coach that intervenes a lot. It seems that he just sits back, watches what's going on, and it's his assistants who kind of intervene and say, hey, you're doing this wrong, or this is how you do that. So he's more someone that just sits back, watches, and sees what's going on, and his assistants are the ones who intervene and talk to the player. So definitely interesting observations. I just wanted to bring it up. Since, I'm not in Barcelona, so I cannot see the trainings in person, but Adrian Sanchez has, and that's what he reported about. Anyways, let's do the chat section, and then we will talk about Sergi Roberto and his decision to leave the club. All right, lots of comments. I love it. I love it. Emmanuel says, Mo, how are you doing? I'm so happy to be on your live from Liberia. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for being on the live. David says, Mo, let's start a GoFundMe to sign Nico. And does Barca get royalties from stores which sell replica jerseys? We'll talk about Nico in a little bit. But as far as royalties, in order to sell Barcelona jerseys, you need a license from the club. And for that, yes, you do have to pay royalties. Of course, there are people that sell jerseys without the approval of the club, and that's illegal. And of course, those stores or companies or whatever do risk getting sued for I'm blanking on the word. It's been a long day, but they do risk getting sued for violations of copyright. All right, Neymar Jr. says, what's up, Mo? The Miami kid looking fire. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Again, like, I'm not an Inter Miami fan. I don't really watch Inter Miami matches or any MLS matches. But when I saw this version of the kit, I loved it. I was like, I got to buy it. And I bought it. It was an impulse buy, but I'm really, really liking it. I think they did a great, great job. Josiah says, good evening, Mo. It's good to be back on the show. It's good to have you back, my friend. I hope you can continue joining our live streams. And Adam says, wow, today I finally made it to your chat. Thank you, my friend, for making it. And I hope we can make it more often. And some random MF says, hi, Mo. What is the situation with the pivot role in Barcelona? Who are we going to sign? Much love, bro. The goal is Mikel Merino. We know that Deco's favorite option was Amadou Onana. That's not happening. Onana's going to Aston Villa. Flick's favorite option is Kimmich. That's also not happening because Kimmich wants 20 million euro salary, is refusing to come down from that figure. Barcelona cannot afford to pay him that. So it will be Mikel Merino. Barcelona's ideal market will be to sign Nico Williams for the left wing and then to sign Mikel Merino if there's money left. And if RB Leipzig are willing to negotiate, then Barcelona would try to sign Dani Olmo. So that would be kind of like the perfect season, or what Barcelona think the perfect transfer market would be. And one last comment by Linus says, yo, Mo, watching from the Philippines. All right, Philippines in the house. How can I or we help fund Nico to Barca? By supporting the team, by watching the matches, because that affects viewership, which means Barcelona get a bigger cut from TV rights. by buying Barcelona merchandise, Barcelona jerseys, hats, shirts, whatever. By going to the matches if you can. I know it's expensive to fly to Barcelona and everything, but if you can afford it, by going to matches, buying the tickets. That's how you can support Barcelona, pretty much by being a fan, I guess, if you want to summarize. Anyways, all right, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Sergi Roberto, who has decided to part ways with Barcelona. Not leave because he already left, but to not wait anymore. Now, we know that Sergi Roberto's contract expired on June 30th. Xavi Hernandez wanted the club to renew it. Barcelona had agreed they were going to extend Sergi Roberto's contract by one more season until next summer. But then Xavi Hernandez left, or he got fired. Hansi Flick came, and Sergi Roberto to Hansi Flick was not a priority. If Barcelona would have renewed Sergi Roberto, Hansi Flick would have been like, whatever, I don't care. I don't mind having him, but he's not a priority for him. He did not want, he was not like, oh, you got to sign him, right? So as such, Barcelona decided that what they were going to do is wait until the final days of the summer transfer market, since Sergi was not really a priority, and try to see, like, once Barcelona had done registering all the players that they needed to register, sign all the players that they needed to sign, if there was still enough room on the wage bill or on the financial fair play, then Barcelona would have signed Sergi Roberto. That's what Barcelona had decided. Of course, it's been a month into the summer transfer market, and Sergi Roberto, through his entourage, are reporting that Barcelona never called him. They never called him to say, look, we want you to stay, or look, we don't count on you. And that he did not like, because Sergi Roberto considers, he's been at the club his whole life. He came up through the academy. He's only played for Barcelona, and he believes that he at least deserved a phone call. And I cannot agree more. I agree 100% with Sergi. I think we cannot be treating our players like that. And, you might like or dislike Sergi. You might think he's a great player or he's a horrible player. But one thing you cannot deny is that he has been in Barca his whole life, since he was a kid. The least we could do is pick up the phone and say, hey, we don't want you. Or, yes, we want you. Something. Tell the guy something. It looks like Barcelona never called. So Sergi Roberto, not only is he upset, but he has decided to part ways with Barcelona. And he will now start listening to the multiple offers that he has from the Premier League. Which I did not know he had offers from the Premier League, but apparently he does. So it looks like at 32 years old, Sergi Roberto will be headed to England. He does have offers in La Liga, but this is how much love Sergi Roberto has for Barcelona. He doesn't want to play in La Liga because he doesn't want to play against Barcelona. So Sergi Roberto not willing to entertain any La Liga offers. He doesn't want to play against his boyhood club, and instead he will be entertaining offers from the Premier League. He's not yet ready to do a retirement league like Saudi Arabia or the MLS. He still believes that he can play at the European level. So therefore, he will entertain again Premier League offers, and he will be parting ways with Barcelona. And to that, I say, Sergi Roberto, thank you for everything you've done for the club. Thank you for all the years that you gave the club. Thank you for all the great memories. We cannot forget your amazing goal against PSG in that historical remontada. Thank you. I wish you the best. Good luck wherever you go, and I hope you succeed wherever you go. And I hope Barcelona rectifies the situation, picks up the phone, and has the decency of telling Sergi, thank you, but no thank you. At least tell him something. Anyways, let's get back to the chat section. And then we will talk about Nico Williams, because we do have an update. I know you guys are all dying to see Nico Williams at the club, including me. But I do have an update. And let's get back to the comment section first. Anthony says, did you see Gerard Romero's comments about a surprise player possibly leaving for Dani Olmo? Wonder who it is. Also, do you prefer Merino or Pepelu as a pivot? Nico, Olmo, Merino, or Pepelu would be 100. All right. I have not heard the comments of Gerard Romero. I don't really follow Gerard Romero much. Nothing against Gerard Romero, but I feel like sometimes he either is 100% on the dot or he's like completely off. It's like there's no middle with him. He's either like says, oh, Barcelona are going to sign, I don't know, Nico Williams. And you're like, okay, cool. Or breaking news, Barcelona just signed Haaland and Mbappe. And you're like, wait, what? I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to say anything bad out. I think he's a great reporter, but sometimes he does miss the point. So no, I have not followed him. I have not heard about his surprise. I feel like a lot of reporters do that, like, oh, surprise signing. And I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but I feel like a lot of people do that kind of just to cover their asses. We're like, it's surprise signing, and then Barcelona signed someone. That was it. That was him. That was a surprise. You either give the name or you don't. None of this bullshit. Surprise. I'll tell you guys later. It's a secret. Then why the fuck even mention it? Just don't say anything. Anyways, whatever. As far as pivot, we're not looking for a pivot. I think a lot of people need to get this in their mind. We're not looking for your typical Barcelona pivot like a Sergio Busquets, like an anchor in the midfield. We're looking for someone who can play as a double pivot, someone who can cover a lot of ground, someone who can attack and yet come back, track back, and defend. That's the kind of player that we are looking for, not for your typical Barcelona pivot. And I feel like a lot of people keep missing the point. So when we mention a name like, oh, Merino, or I don't know, a different name, or Kimmich, people are like, oh, well, Kimmich is not really a pivot, or Merino's not really a pivot. Well, yeah, they're not, because we're not looking for a pivot. So just clarification, we're not looking for a typical pivot. We're looking for someone who can play as a double pivot, someone that can cover a lot of ground, because that's the system of play that Flick employs. Anyways, as far as that, Merino's fine. I don't have any complaints. I think Merino will be a good addition, especially for the price, which is around 20 to 25 million euros. All right, let's see. Falana says, have not missed your podcast since March. Wow, that's pretty amazing, even though it's always midnight here. Thank you, my friend, for always watching the podcast since March. It's a long time. That's four months. Has it been 4 months? 4 months, 3 podcasts a week, times 4 weeks a month, 12 times 4, 48 podcasts. That's pretty amazing. Emmanuel says, Mo, I'm watching you live from Freetown, Sierra Leone. I think if the management able to sign Nico Williams, believe in me, teams are going to find it very difficult to cope with this guy. I agree. That's the kind of wingers that we need. People like Lamine, people like Nico, people that dribble past defenders, that can create space, that can create danger, and that can free up Lewandowski. Because remember, Lewandowski struggled a lot last season because there was no one to free him up, right? Because when you have someone, for example, like Ferran or like Rafinha attacking through the wing, opposing teams don't have to do much. They only have to do is send one defender out to mark that player, whether it's Rafinha or Ferran, and that's it. Because they know that neither Ferran nor Rafinha are going to be able to dribble past that defender. Meanwhile, the rest of the defenders, they just overpopulate the box, canceling out Lewandowski, because every time, if you go watch the replays of the match, every time there's a cross sent into a box, there's Lewandowski standing in the middle of 5 defenders. What is he going to do against 5 defenders? Nothing. But instead, we need players like Lamine, where when he has the ball, opposing teams have to send 2 players to mark him. And now you have Nico on the other side. Now you need 2 players to mark Nico, because they know that if you send one defender, it's not going to be enough. And Lamine is going to be able to dribble past that one defender, or Nico is going to be able to dribble past the one defender. So they're going to send out 2 defenders for each player. What does that do? That frees up Lewandowski in the box, and he's able to score. And if they don't send 2 defenders, they only send 1 to mark Lamine or Nico, they're going to be able to dribble past them. And guess what? Now you have a winger loose on the sides, on the flanks. Now you're in trouble. So that's what we need. Not Rafinha, not Ferran. Well, Rafinha covers a lot of ground. He runs a lot. Great. That's great against teams that leave a lot of space behind their back line. But guess what? How many teams that play against us really leave a lot of space behind? Almost none. Who did it last season? Las Palmas and Getafe. That's it. Every other team that plays against us, what do? Defend with a low block. So if you have a player that's not really good for against low blocks, and they're better against teams that leave a lot of space behind the back line, and most of the teams don't play with space behind their back line, then what's the point? But anyways, we do have a donation, a very generous donation. Like I said, the Angry Spark is going to fund the signing of Nico Williams alone. But he says, good to see you, bro. Here's my every other weekend donation to be used for software upgrades, studio upgrades, Haaland Fund, or whatever. You are now officially the only Barca channel I'm a member of. Nobody does it better than you, my friend. Keep on. Thank you a million times. Thank you, my friend, for your donations. My StreamYard subscription is set to expire pretty soon. And thanks to your donations, I'll be able to get a better streaming software that's not as crappy as this one. So thank you, my friend. I also need a new mic. This mic is starting to fall apart. So I'm definitely going to use your donations toward upgrading my mic so I can bring you guys better sound and better videos. But thank you again a million times. Thank you for your generosity. And with that, let's get back to the news. Let's talk about Nico Williams. Did I just take my glasses off to read and put them back on not to read? What is going on with me? It's Friday. I'm sorry. But let's talk about Nico Williams because we now have a little bit more information about what happened during that meeting between Deco and Nico's agent. As you know, and as I told you on this channel, it was discovered that Deco flew to Zaragoza where he met with Nico Williams' agent and where they discussed that contract draft or that draft of the contract that Barcelona had already prepared. We know that Barcelona are very serious about signing Nico. While Nico was at the Euros, they prepared a draft contract. And once the Euros was over, Deco flew out, met with Nico's agent, showed him the draft. They negotiated, but that's all we knew, that there was a negotiations. We don't know if they agreed on the terms. We don't know if they closed the deal. We don't know anything, but now we do. It looks like there was good discussions between the two, between Deco and Nico's agent. It was positive discussions. However, no deal was reached. And the reason why no deal was reached is because Nico's agent is asking from the club guarantees that Nico would be registered if he comes to Barcelona, which of course, very reasonable request. You know, Nico's not gonna leave Athletic Club Bilbao, come to Barcelona just for Barcelona to be like, oh, oops, we don't have space on our financial fair play. You're not gonna be registered, so now you're gonna sit out half the season without doing anything. So no deal was reached because Nico's agent wants guarantees. Of course, Barcelona right now cannot give them 100% guarantees because we have the Barca vision and the Nike deal pending. And until we don't close those deals, we can't reach a 1-to-1. Therefore, we cannot sign Nico or register Nico. So Barcelona cannot give them full guarantees yet. So no deal was reached, but negotiations as far as the terms of the contract went really well. And it looks like both parties are on the same page, which again, it's not the same as reaching an agreement because no agreement has been reached yet. Now, more new news because now it's reported that Barcelona are considering taking out a loan to sign Nico. Now, Barcelona need two things. First, they need to close the Barca vision just to reach the 1-to-1. But even once at 1-to-1, they still need cash. They don't have cash. And that's where the Nike deal comes in and that signing bonus, the 100 million euro signing bonus, that's what would be used to sign Nico. That's the order. Barca vision, then Nike, then sign Nico. Now, we know that Nico wants to close his transfer to Barcelona by the end of this month, beginning of August. He doesn't want to begin the preseason with Athletic Club Bilbao and then leave him hanging. By the time his vacation is over, he wants to be able to come to Barcelona. So Barcelona are running out of time. So since Barcelona are running out of time, they are now exploring the possibilities of taking out a loan. So Barcelona have already started talking with banking institutions to see if they'll be able to access a credit line to get a loan and sign Nico, kind of changing the order of things, right? Instead of doing Barca Vision, Nike, Nico, it will be Nico first because they get the loan to pay for him. And then once the Barca Vision and the Nike deal are closed, then they can use that money to pay back the loan that they would take out for Nico. Now, this is only an option that Barcelona are considering. This is not something that Barcelona are for sure going to do. This is not something that Barcelona are going to do or already did. This is only an option that Barcelona are considering as an emergency. In case they cannot close Barca Vision and Nike deals on time, they will take out the loan, pay for Nico, then worry about Nike and Barca Vision because Barcelona still have till September 1st to close those deals. And then once those deals are closed, pay back the loan. Now, it is a good option. It is a feasible option. But, of course, it would cost Barcelona more money because now you have to pay interest. Not just the transfer, but interest on the loan for the transfer. But, in other words, Barcelona are going to do whatever they have to do to bring Nico. So with almost 99% certainty, it's looking like Nico is coming to Barcelona. Of course, nothing is 100% sure. Everything can fall apart last minute, but it looks like Barcelona are willing to do whatever they have to. Now, how much will Nico cost us a year? It will cost us 24 million a year in financial fair play. Now, how is this calculated? Well, Barcelona are planning to give Nico a 12 million euro salary gross. So 6 million to Nico, other 6 million in taxes. So 12 million gross. And the other 12 million, because it's 24 total, would be how much Nico would cost per season, right? Which is his release clause of 58 million, let's say 60, round up to 60, divided over 5 seasons, because that's how long Barcelona want to sign him. 60 divided by 5, it's 12 million per season in transfer fee, plus 12 million in gross salary. That's 24 million. That's how much Barcelona need to free up on their financial fair play. 24 million per season to sign Nico. By the way, speaking of Nico, there was a lot of people yesterday on TikTok donating to the club on videos that Barcelona had. Like, here's a donation to sign Nico. A donation signing, pretty hilarious, but at the same time sad. Anyways, let's do the chat section, and then we will talk about Lamine Yamal, because we do have news about our young star. Let's see. Amoni says, I don't know, man. I'm feeling really optimistic about this Flick project. I know we shouldn't expect any trophies this season, but I feel really optimistic. I do too, my friend. And like I've said again, I think we need to keep our expectations low. It's going to take time. We're not going to start winning trophies, overnight, but I am optimistic as well. And Petty says, hi, Mo. Who do you think would be the best Barca player for this upcoming season? I think Lamine, bearing any injuries. God forbid. Knock on wood. Knocked on wood. I think Lamine. My dog just barked at something. All right. Alex says, Mo, any news on Simmons coming to Barcelona? It's not looking like it. I have more news in the next video. Anyways. Tony says, I'm seeing more and more Olmo joining Barcelona. I don't like it. However, do you think this is coming because Gundo is unsure of his future? Maybe Frankie departs. Doesn't make sense for Olmo. I think the news is the reason why people are saying, oh, Olmo to Barca is because we know that Deco met with Dani Olmo's agent, right? They met kind of like to try to negotiate personal terms in case nobody signs Olmo, because Olmo has a release clause that expires tomorrow, July 20th. If nobody pays the release clause, then Barcelona on July 21st will approach RB Leipzig and try to negotiate a deal. Now, before they do all that, they met with Olmo's agent so they can reach an agreement, because it wouldn't make sense to wait, be like, okay, nobody signed Olmo. All right, let's go negotiate with Leipzig. Okay, we negotiated, we got a deal. And then they go towards the play, and the player's like, never mind, I don't want to come. So that's why they try to reach an agreement with him before approaching Leipzig. Does that mean Olmo's going to come? No. For all we know, Manchester City or Bayern Munich can end up paying for the release clause. And even if they don't pay for the release clause, Barcelona could approach RB Leipzig and say, hey, let's negotiate something. And RB Leipzig tells us, here you go. You either pay the 60 million or you don't take him. So I think it would be a mistake to sign Dani Olmo. Yes, he's an interesting player. Would it be nice to have him? Yes. Do we need him? Absolutely not. How many midfielders do you need? We have Pedri, Gabi, Frankie, Gundogan. We know Christensen can play in that position. Marc Casado, Oriol Romeo, who might be able to stay. We have Unai Hernandez, Marc Bernal, Noah Darvic, who are all training with the first team. That's 10 midfielders right there. What is our lineup? What is our formation going to look like? 1-8-1? It makes no sense. Again, would it be nice to have him? Sure. Do we need him? Absolutely not. Now, if the club was financially healthy, by all means, sign Olmo. But we're not. We have very little money. And we have to focus our very little money on priorities. And Olmo's not a priority. We have 1 million midfielders. We don't need another one. Plus, I don't think Olmo's going to be the kind of player that's going to come elevate the squad and make that big of a difference. Would he be an improvement? Sure. Would he be a difference maker? No. Nico, on the other hand, Nico Williams, He's the kind of player that would come and elevate the squad and be a difference maker. Dani Olmo, not really. And they cost the same. But anyways, that's my opinion. You let me know what you guys think. Now let's do the last bit of news, because we do have to talk about Lamine Yamal, because his agent, Jorge Mendes, is pushing Barcelona to renegotiate the contract of our young starlet. Now, as you might remember, I reported this, what was this? Last summer, Lamine Yamal still had a juvenil contract, an academy contract, because you cannot sign your first professional contract under FIFA rules until you turn 16. When Lamine turned 16, immediately Barcelona and Lamine reached an agreement, and Lamine signed his first professional contract at 16 years old last summer. Now, another rule is that when you're under 18, you can only sign 3-year contracts. So Lamine signed his first professional contract, but it was only 3 years, because he can't sign more per the rules. But Barcelona still reached an agreement with Lamine. They drafted a draft contract where they agreed that Lamine Yamal, as soon as he turns 18, he would sign a contract until, I think it was 2030 or 2031, tying, Lamine Yamal for several years with Barcelona. Now, that contract obviously is not official. That's just something both parties agreed to. There's a draft. It's not official because Lamine cannot sign it until he turns 18. And now, Jorge Mendes is pushing Barcelona to renegotiate that contract. So the one that Lamine would sign when he turns 18, Jorge Mendes wants to change it because he wants it to reflect the increased value of Lamine. Because last year, yes, Lamine was still, a promising player. He was a up-and-coming star. To this year, he has grown a lot, right? He just won the Euros. He was the fastest selling jersey last season. This season is even more. They're talking about Barcelona selling more jerseys in the first few hours of their launch than they did in the first several days of last season. Lamine is an absolute star right now. On top of that, his value just went up to 120 million euros on transfer market. So Jorge Mendes wants to renegotiate the contract that he reached with Barcelona, that Lamine would sign at 18, because he wants, more pay, more bonuses, more everything, because he wants it to reflect the current state of the player, which of course has grown immensely from last year. We'll see if Barcelona cede. We'll see what kind of agreement they can reach. But just know that Jorge Mendes is already knocking on the door, saying, hey guys, more money, please. All right, let's do more comments. That's all the news, by the way. I am going to do another video after this because there's a lot of news. There's always a lot of news. Welcome to FC Barcelona, ladies and gentlemen. But let's do more comments. Samuel says, hello, Mo. What do you think about us getting Olmo, considering his position is not a priority and it's still a pivot position to attend to? I just explained my position on Dani, so I don't want to be repetitive. I will say this. People, I saw a lot of these comments yesterday, people saying, why are we trying to sign Olmo when we need a midfielder? Signing Olmo is not going to be over a midfielder. It would go Nico, Merino, and then Olmo. Okay? So even if Barcelona do end up signing Olmo, it's not going to be until they have already secured Nico and Merino. So don't think that Barcelona are saying, we don't need Merino, let's bring in Olmo. That's not the case. They would prioritize Nico, then Merino, and then if there's money left, Olmo. So Nico and Merino are still the priorities. And we do have a donation. Oh, 2 donations. Angry Sparky with another donation. He says, oh no, this is not a donation. This is a 4-month anniversary because the Angry Sparky has been a member of the channel for 4 months. So thank you, my friend. But he says, I want to sign Nico as much as anyone, but I don't like the loan idea. The jokes on the club will be relentless. Plus, I think it's very risky. If he were to get injured, then what? I don't like it. So the idea is you take out the loan, you pay for the transfer, and then when you close the Nike deal, you get 100 million from Nike, then you turn around and pay the loan. That's kind of like the idea. It's not a horrible idea. Obviously, I prefer that Barca just pay for him. Not a completely bad idea. because it would guarantee us that we would sign Nico. Because again, Nico's not going to wait until the last day. Nico's only going to wait until the end of the month. So I think it's a good emergency option. The bad side, of course, is you have to pay interest. No bank is going to be like, sure, here's 60 million and just pay us back 60 million. They're going to be like, here's 60, you better pay us back 65 or 70 or whatever, right? That's the downside. All right, donation from Mustafa, who says, Mo, I saw Barca fan making donations to Barca on TikTok for the purchase of Nico Williams. Yeah, I just mentioned it. It was funny. There's a lot of comments saying like, here for Nico Williams donation, $5, $10. I mean, look, the way the club is going, any donations, I guess, help. So might as well. Well, says we need to fucking move on from the Iniesta, Boozy, Xabi bullshit that worked for the era, not this era with high intensity football. We need DMs with physicalities and technicalities, and Mikel Merino fits. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Moving on from Boozy, Iniesta, and Xabi. I wasn't aware that the club were trying to sign Boozy, Iniesta, and Xabi, or players that are similar to Boozy, Iniesta, and Xabi. Plus, you're very wrong about needing physical defensive midfielders. Just look at Manchester City. Just look at Bayer Leverkusen. There's plenty of examples out there of clubs not having physical defensive midfielders, instead having technically able midfielders and winning everything. Plenty of examples. That myth that you need big, strong players has been going on for decades, and over again, it's been proven wrong. And I already told you guys this story, so I'll tell you again in case you missed it. When Johan Cruyff was first signed as Barcelona's coach, La Liga was one of the most physical leagues in the world. It was all big, strong players just wailing at each other. And when Johan Cruyff arrives, he decides, I don't want big players, big, strong players. I want players who are technical. So he makes all these changes. He signs all these players. He brings up players from the academy who are much smaller, much more technically able. And everybody, the press goes nuts. They're like, this guy is crazy. Like, this team is not even going to finish the season. They're all going to end up in the hospital because they're going to get beat up. Guess what? Johan Cruyff won a bunch of things. Even though La Liga was back then way more physical than what it is now. And he still won things. So this whole myth that you need big, strong players to succeed, it's just that. It's a myth. This is not American football. This is not rugby. This is football. You don't need big physical players unless that's the kind of style of play you're trying to do, which is, break legs and park the bus. In that case, yes, you need them. But if you're trying to play more fast football, possession-based football, no, you don't need big, strong players. That's a myth, and it's a myth that's been busted over and over and over again for decades. Anyways, Klaus says, 20 minutes past midnight here. Also, I love the channel, so I stay up. Thank you, my friend. Yes, you do. Klaus does not miss a single live stream. He's always here. So thank you, my friend, for your support. Emmanuel says, I'm watching from Liberia. We need Nico Williams faster before someone else takes him away. Well, Nico only wants to come to Barcelona. So the only two options that Nico's considering is A, Barcelona, or B, Athletic Club de Bilbao. So nobody's going to take him. He either comes to Barca or he stays put. So we don't have to worry about that. What we have to worry about is him staying at Athletic Club de Bilbao. So if Barcelona don't pay his release clause pretty soon, he is going to stay because he doesn't want any problems with his current club. He wants to be signed before the preseason begins. He doesn't want to leave him hanging. He loves his club. It's understandable. It's his boyhood club. He came up through their academy. His brother plays there. His parents work at the club. It makes total sense. All right, let's see. Jovan says, hey, Mo, I genuinely believe you're analyzing the team properly. I don't believe Rafinha should be sold, should be on bench. What happens when Yamal and Nico get injured? Ferran, garbage. The problem is with having Rafinha and Ferran on the bench is that they cost us 60 million each. Well, Ferran was 55, Rafinha was close to 68, but let's just round up and down. 60 million each. And they have high salaries too. Well, at least Rafinha does. I'm not sure about Ferran's salary. And between having a 68 million euro player who earns 12 or 14 million euros a season on the bench versus selling him, I would rather sell him and either buy a low-cost winger or bring up someone from the academy. That would be my preference, because spending 68 million on a sub just does not make sense to me. Financially speaking, just doesn't make sense. Best in the Game says, sometimes I wonder how he gets this kind of info about Barcelona. Easy. Multiple sources. Or are you talking about Gerard Romero? I don't know about Gerard Romero, how he gets. I mean, sometimes he does get some crazy news like that's super accurate that no one else gets. That makes you wonder, like, I know I have seen him once say that he does have a lot of reporters that just hit the streets. You know, they're just on the streets, literally, like just looking for info, right? And going to restaurants that they know that Deco goes to or that Laporta goes to, and they're just there all day. They're just watching. And then all of a sudden, they see someone come in or come out, and they're, oh, pictures, and then, you know, the news spreads. So I think that's one way he does it. It's just literally hitting the streets and just waiting for shit to happen. I mean, it's crazy. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication, but that's one way he does it, or at least I've heard him say that he does it. Curtis says, I think almost important. Pedri's always injured. Firmino is not that good on the ball. Yes, he is. Firmino is very good on the ball. Almost a goal-scoring midfielder and skillful, also versatile. Yeah, he also is very inconsistent. And yes, I mean, let's say that Pedri does stay injured, and let's agree that Fermin is bad. What about Frankie? What about Gundogan? What about Gabi? What about Christensen? What about Romeo? What about Casado? What about Merino if we sign him? What about Mari Bernal? What about Unai Hernandez? What about Noah Darvish? I mean, do I need to keep going? We have a million midfielders. We don't need Dani Olmo. Russ says, over 306 watching, but only 75 plus likes. Come on, guys. Thank you, my friend. Yes, please hit that like button. It only takes a second. It's free, and it helps this channel grow because it prompts the YouTube algorithm to recommend the video to people who've never seen the channel. And Trader Pal says, Koeman spoke earlier. Did you hear what he said? Anyways, I don't think the club should be going for Olmo. He did well, but not so much. It doesn't make sense to go for him. I will talk about the Koeman statements in my next video. And yes, I agree 100%. We don't need Olmo. Uzoigui. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. But Barcelona needs strong physical pivot like Subimendi from Real Sociedad. Pivot. We Barca need such pivot in midfield, please. Okay, at first, Subimendi is not a physical pivot. And second, again, like I said before, we're not looking for a pivot. Let's make that clear. Not the Gamer says, the difference between Rafinha and Ferran is that Ferran is trash and Rafinha is trash, covered in gold flakes, still trash. I think I agree with that assessment. I don't know what the hype is about Rafinha, because people clearly see that Ferran is not good enough. So that's not debate. I don't think anyone is here saying Ferran is good. I think we can all agree 100% that Ferran is bad. But yet Rafinha is just as bad, but it seems to be a debate about it, which doesn't make sense. It's like, how can you see that Ferran is bad? Hey, stop it. Sorry, my dog. But not see it in Rafinha. Oh, well, his numbers. Their numbers are pretty similar, and Ferran plays a lot less. So, and they both have not been able to establish a starting position on the team. Let's not forget, when Dembele's contract expired, Barcelona signed Rafinha so he can be our star winger. And then Dembele decides to come back. And Rafinha ends up on the bench. Xavi tries Rafinha on the left. He was a total mess, completely lost. So he ends up on the bench again. Then Dembele leaves, and they're like, okay, Rafinha now this is his time to shine. And again, he gets benched by Lamine, a 16-year-old kid. So then Xavi again puts Rafinha on the left. And then he gets benched by Fermin, who's not even a winger, as a midfielder. And yet people don't see it. Ferran had never been a starter. I don't get it. But I agree with your assessment. Let's do one more comment, and then we will end the live stream. But From the Island says, how many times will Subimendi have to say he doesn't want to leave for Barca fans to understand? Yes, thank you. Subimendi said multiple times he's not coming to Barca. Plus, Barcelona not even considering him. I mean, since Xavi left, Suleiman is not even on the mind of Barcelona. So, all right. Anyways, that is all, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in, for your likes, your comments, subscriptions, donations. Thank you guys a million times. Thank you. I will be uploading another video later on. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Anyways, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.